All right, let's figure this out, shall we? Okay, there's my box. And I first have to figure out how wide it is. And 52 and a half. I'm going to take a couple measurements. 52 and a half. Measure down here. 52 and a half. And just for kicks, I'm going to go inside and measure the frame now to make sure, see if I got any slop above and beyond 52 and a half. Be right back. Okay, I measured the bed frame, and in one area it's got some little metal goodies on the inside, and that was a little bit over 52 and a half, and at the bottom it was close to 53. Initially I was going to measure and cut them 52 3/4 and fit them in there, but then it wouldn't have fit because I didn't see those nodules. So if you're going to measure your bed frame, make sure you measure everywhere. So 52 and a half it is. That's what I'm going to do. Okay, and then I've got, like I say, I've got 2 pieces of plywood here, and I got the 48-inch piece and I got the other piece. Now the other piece, I looked at it, and obviously it's cut on one side. And I know this side, it still has writing on the side of it, so I know it's this edge. But I looked at it real close, and it looks nice and straight. So I'm gonna cut this piece off right there, because then I'm gonna have the rest of this piece of plywood. It's still gonna be over 2 feet wide. And maybe I can use it for something else later on down the road. I always like to, if I'm going to save some plywood, I always like to, if I can, save one of the existing factory straight edges in case I want to use that for a shelf later on. I'll have that as the factory edge facing front, and then I'll cut off another piece in the back. And if you're slightly off, you're slightly off, but at least you're not slightly off on both sides. You see what I mean? And so 48 let's think about this here. 48, and I need 52 and a half. 48, 49, 50, 51, 52 and a half is 4.5 inches. Okay, so I can mark on here 4.5 inches. And I'm just going to mark it in a few different places, because usually I have my chalk line with me, but it's at home. And I'm at my mother's house, and if I didn't have anything to line this up, okay, I would take my level. I would take my level and just do a little bit at a time, But since I've got this piece here, this was a piece they were using for a toe kick, and I looked at that, and that looks pretty straight, so I'm going to use that as my straight edge. And that came off of something else, and whoever cut that had to have used a table saw. Okay, so I'm going to use that as my straight edge. All right, are you following me so far? 48 is the full sheet, and 4.5 inches. I'm making this other piece. And double check your measurements, double check. Measure twice, cut once, right? 48, 49, 50, 51, 52 and a half is 4.5 inches, and most 4x8 sheets are exactly at 48 inches, and that's what that is. Okay, so I'm gonna take my pencil and mark this in lieu of my chalk line. Alright, now I can extend that up, and that's the piece I'm going to cut. I'm going to cut it as straight as I can with my Skilsaw, and that's my next step. Okay, and I'm going to take, obviously you don't want to cut the plywood right on the plywood, right? Because the blade's going to go through. So I'm going to take a 2x6 here, and I'm going to put that underneath the plywood. Okay? So Am I getting weak or what? I lift this up. Slide this under here. And that's just giving me enough room to have it beyond. So I want to make sure I'm beyond and not too close. Okay. Now I can cut that strip off. That's what I'm going to do next with my skill saw. And the way I got it set up, I'm going to have to cut from that end. I should have flipped this plywood around. I'm going to flip the plywood around and get ready to set up, because I want to cut over on this side so the sawdust doesn't go up and fly up into my my box spring that I'm saving. Okay, I'll get that set up here, and we're going to cut this in a minute. Okay, I'm going to have you over here, and I'm going to cut it. See, I didn't want to just cut off the other side, because that's the factory edge over there. Okay, I've got a 2x6 over here, and make sure you don't dig into the 2x6. And so I got my eye protectors on. I got a hat on. I got toilet paper in my ears, because this is going to be loud. You want to protect yourself as much as you can. And I got my back support brace on. I've got my knee pad. Man, I'm all set up. And before I cut this, on most skill saws, the blade, the fence, this side fence, see, if I were to cut it like this, I've got 1.5 inches of the blade cutting into the plywood, and if you're not careful, it could zip back on you. I've seen it done, and it's always best to adjust this. And I'm going to adjust it so it's sticking down below the blade, maybe 1/8 of an inch or so. Now I tighten that back up, okay? And I always like to cut the piece that I'm saving. I like to see the line. I don't want to cut from the other end, because then I have to look over the blade. This way I can see everything, okay? So I'm going to cut it now. And I'm curious to see how well this blade is too, since I sharpened it. I can tell the blade is a lot sharper than it was before, but I know it doesn't feel like it's a brand new blade, because I only sharpened it a little bit. I didn't want to keep going, because then you might take the angle off, and it's important that when you file it, you still have a sharp tip on each one of those blades, because the tip is what's cutting into it more so than the rest of the area. Okay, so I just slow as you go. Slow as you go. Hey, it's not a race. I don't have to do it real quick. I mean, I could stand up and do it and stuff, but hey, I'm trying to protect my back. I'm not as young as I used to be, so I just get right down here on the floor and get with it. Okay. Now this sawdust, when you cut it on a concrete floor. It gets slippery too, so you got to be aware of that. Know your existing surroundings. See, just that sawdust right there, if I'm not aware of myself, I could slip on it later on down the road. So I might want to be aware of that. I might want to sweep it up, or try not to walk on it sideways as I'm getting up or whatever. Okay, so there's my one piece, and now I can take this other piece of plywood. I don't need the rest of this piece of plywood, and I still have 30 inches for a shelf that I can put in the garage, or I can cut something up later on, and I still have the factory edge, you know, and so that's a good thing, right? And so I'm just gonna kind of get this out of the way for now, because I don't need this piece anymore. Just get it out of the way. Okay. And my next step. What is my next step? Yeah, I've got to connect these two pieces. Okay, I've got to connect them. So I'll have to decide where I want to connect it. I'll probably put it right here, like that, and slide it in for end, and that's going to be my seam. And then see the piece that I had earlier. Now where did that go? I used it for a straight edge. Oh, yeah. See this piece here, I'm just going to put underneath this, and I'm going to run it along there on both sides, and I'm going to put screws through it. Okay, and that's going to hold my seam together. But before I do any of that business, now what do you suppose I'm going to do before I do that seam? Yes, I have to measure the height of this, and that's probably what I'm going to do next, is cut the height of this plywood, right? And so I've got to check that, and it looks like 73 3/4. I'm going to double check it over here. 73 3/4. I think if I make it 73 3/4, I'll be fine. Okay, so guess what I have to do? Yes, I got to cut this plywood again. And by the way, this Skilsaw here, this is an expensive Skilsaw. I'm going to unplug it, and this is called an actual. When I say Skilsaw, lots of times I call it most power saws Skilsaws, but this brand, see, it says Skilsaw, and you see on the side it says Skilsaw. This is a worm drive Skilsaw 77 is what it's called, and that's the kind you want to use for construction work and everyday heavy duty stuff. They have other ones you can buy, you know, but that thing. This is an expensive Skilsaw, 200. I don't know how much it is anymore, but if you don't want to get a big Skilsaw like that, you can get one with the blade on the side. You know, those smaller ones. But I would caution you on anything like those blades. You want the blade, if you're right-handed, you want the blade and the guard and everything on the left-hand side of the saw. I can't tell you how many times years ago they never had any of those saw blades for sale. Did you know that? The blade was always on the right-hand side. So for a right-handed person, you'd have to sit here and then look at your project, lift this up over here on this side, look over here, and try to see your saw blade and see your line that you're cutting over on this side while you're chopping your finger off, your hand off, your knee, have it backfire on you, have it to where you're not cutting a straight line every time you got to bend over, and it's hard to cut if you're trying to cut it off your foot, a 2x4 or something like that. You got to use two hands, and it's like, how do you cut it using two hands and trying to hold your piece of plywood, your 2x6, your 2x4, your 2x12, whatever it is. You see what I'm saying? But if you have it on the left side, then you can hold you can hold something up here and you can cut it like that because you can see it, unlike, you know, going like that and then not being careful and missing the line because you can hardly see the cut with your blade. And the blade, you have to, when you have it on the right hand side, you have to judge how far the blade is over from the line, more so than over here. You can just cut it right off, right next to the line on where your cut is, as opposed to over here and guessing, you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, oops, you hit your foot or something. I mean, trust me, I've seen stuff like that happen. I've heard of things happening like that. So if you want to get a smaller saw, get the kind, make sure that the saw blade is actually on the left-hand side. Okay, if you're left-handed, make sure that the saw blade is on the right-hand side. And they have either or on that. And I ended up buying one, and it was a battery-operated one. I think it was from Makita or something. And we had batteries for the different drills and stuff like that. And it was on sale, and I use that when I'm at home. But when I'm here, I borrow this one. I used to have a Skilsaw 77 like that for years, doing all the construction stuff that I ever had and stuff. And it's just the right saw to use. And if you're just starting out, get the other one. Get the other one, and you'll see that that's still a good one for you. That way you don't have to spend. Probably this one's probably $250. The other one's probably $150 or something. You might save $100, $125, $150 for the smaller type of saw. You'll see them at the hardware store. Most hardware stores have them. Okay, so look for them, and they have them with the cord, and they also have battery operated ones. The other smaller ones. Now, a regular Skilsaw 77 like this, or Makita, or DeWalt, or something like that. Most of them are with an extension cord to plug it in, but I don't know. They might have power. They might have battery operated ones on those too, at the store or whatever. But I'm just trying to give you some thoughts and ideas, because if you start doing things on your own around the house, you're going to need to pick up certain tools and stuff. And my thing is, hey, spend a little bit of money on your tools, because now you can use your tools forever. Instead of paying somebody else, and some of the money saved that you didn't have to pay somebody, that you did yourself. Now you can use some of that money for a few tools, extension cord, a little tool bag. Here's a tool bag I got. This was my Pop's, I think, and it's just one. And see all the tools I have in there? Well, you're gonna have to buy all kinds of stuff. This is just a one side pouch. One I got at home is two sides, and then I got other stuff. You're gonna have to get drills, extension cord, and I got different things here, a hammer, and all kinds of miscellaneous things. And you'll start accumulating that stuff, knowing that, hey, if you think you're handy at all, this might be the way to go to start saving some money around the house. And don't take my word for it. Go to my YouTube channel, go to the main YouTube channel page, click on playlists, and scroll through the many DIY topics I have on my YouTube channel, and you can start looking at different things. You can see and watch certain things: how to install an electrical outlet, how to replace an electrical outlet, how to replace a dimmer switch, how to install a dimmer switch, how to remove a ceiling fan, how to install a ceiling fan, how to install grab bars, how to fix a sagging door, how to install a doorknob, how to install grab bars, how to use a little giant ladder that you never knew you needed to know, how to install clips for bikes up on your ceiling in the garage that you never knew you had to do. I mean, I got all kinds of stuff on there that I know you'll be able to save money. How to unclog a bathroom sink, how to unclog a shower drain, how to unclog a bathroom bathtub, how to install a dishwasher, how to remove a dishwasher, all kinds of stuff, how to remove a kitchen sink faucet, how to install a kitchen sink faucet, how to fix a P-trap, how to install a garbage disposal. It goes on and on and on on my playlists, on my videos, over 4,000 DIY how-to videos on my channel to pick from so that you can save money around the house. What's the point, Joe? The point is to save you money around the house. Okay, that's why I make my videos. That's why I post the videos. As you can see, maybe I enjoy making videos and helping people save money around the house, and that's what I do.